Hi, I'm Gary Burley. As a National Football League veteran, I learned the fastest way for a running back is a straight line. So let's get straight to why we're here today. I want to thank you for showing up for Cooking with the Pros, our sports and entertainment themed cooking show. If you have an interest in advertising on our show, look at the number on the bottom and give us a call. We'd be glad to get a representative out to talk to you. But thanks for watching the show, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye. Welcome to Cooking with the Pros. Today's show, we've got the ultimate guest on, former Auburn great, Quentin Riggins. Quentin, how you doing, my friend?
Gary, that's pretty good. I need to send you $1 or two. Thanks, pretty good.
Well, let's get right into it, Quentin. Auburn had a year of growth, I would call it. You know, after losing an offensive line, couple of first-round draft picks, and all the other things that they lost, they came out pretty good, and it looks like they're building for the future. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, ideally when you come off a championship, you want to kind of reload instead of rebuild, and Auburn absolutely is rebuilding. But you think about it, a true freshman in this conference starting at center. Three new players along the offensive line, very little experience here and there, but the biggest thing I think that Auburn had a challenge was the SEC West. My goodness, Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, the three teams that are as good as anybody in the country, two that are the top two teams in the country, and then, whenever you're playing the defending champs, you're going to get that best shot, and, in those games, Auburn gave up, I think, 45, 42, and 38 points, and so certainly a rebuilding year for Auburn.
Well, I tell you what, I from the beginning of the season, I had my thoughts about Auburn, and I knew that, there's no way, just like Alabama was in 2010, you can't lose 10 NFL draft choices off your starters and expect for the same results. So I think Auburn is right in position that if they just follow up with a good recruiting year, the youngsters that they had this year are more advanced and more ready to play next year, and you'll have a good team.
Well, you end up learning when you go to Baton Rouge and Columbia, South Carolina, or Fayetteville, Arkansas. I mean, you end up learning. Clemson, going up there. And so next year, Auburn will open up in the Georgia Dome and play the Clemson Tigers. And so Reese Music Center will have a little bit more experience and know what to expect. Michael Dyer Jr., what can he do? We'll see. A little bit more experience coming to start next year.
Well, I think the whole country is looking at Auburn to do the same thing, and I think people will be more realistic on the expectations, I hope, except for the Auburn-Alabama rivalry. That's something that I will never, ever understand, but maybe it's not up to me.
Well, there's on both sides, we're a little bit more, I don't know if we want to win or we just are scared to lose in that rivalry. And but we do know this, whichever team wins that game, at least the last 3 years, is in position to play for a national championship, and that's all you can expect.
Well, this is the toughest conference that I've seen. You look at all the scores around the country, the 55-6 and 55-20, and nobody's playing defense, and they expect that these are great teams. I see that Auburn-Alabama game as a battle, but that LSU-Alabama game now, Quentin, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. That is the game of the century.
Well, that game, when you look at Alabama and LSU, it's going to come down to specialties. I think both offense and defensive lines of both teams are unbelievable. You got Sam Montgomery, defensive end of LSU, who's outstanding. Courtney Upshaw of Alabama, outstanding. You can pick different players. Mark Barron, the Honey Badger. You on both sides, and it's going to come down to specialties in this game. LSU in New Orleans, that place is going to be crazy. Anytime the Southeastern Conference team make the national championship game, they are very, very good. Now you got two teams. I think it's going to be the third leg everybody takes for granted. Well, Alabama may not because of the field goal kicking last time. The guy missed the kick. But it's going to come down to the hidden yardage and special teams. And if both offensive defenses if there's a push, then look out.
Well, Quentin, you and I both know as former players that it never comes down to a field goal. If the teams are both doing the jobs that they're supposed to do, it could turn out differently. I can point to several areas where Alabama failed, and not just the scoring opportunities, but I'm saying I don't see the defensive line rushing and containing the passer. I don't see them playing the option the way they should have played it. And there's just so many different things that go on. Football is a game of inches, as we all know. And if you don't execute the plan that's in place, you're leading yourself you're positioning yourself not to get the best out of your team. And I think that's what happened. So with both teams having the opportunity to review everything that they did wrong, I'm looking for a better game, maybe a higher scoring game. I don't see it being a big blowout on one side or the other, but I think now we're going to see the game of the year.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with you, and I'll say this. You give Nick Saban, 60 days to prepare. You give Les Miles that much time, it's going to be it's going to be a different ball game. And it won't be played close to the vest. I think both teams will open it up and challenge downfield. And, I mentioned special teams, but I think turnovers will be a big piece of this puzzle, too. But it will be, a 17, 20 type game. It won't be 9-6. I can promise you that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And to piggyback on to something you just said, Quentin, special teams. And we got the honey bear back there, and you can't play with that guy. You got to apply your team's skill of what you practice for your special teams. You've got to apply all those things. One guy cannot be out of shape because out of position. I'm sorry, because once that happens, that guy's gone.
Well, there's nothing wrong with punting away, and living to play another day. This punting out of bounds, angle punting, that's a defensive strategy.
Well, if I was the coach, the special teams coach, he would not see the honey bear would not get anywhere near that punt because I punted out of bounds or I punted in a place where he couldn't return it because we know, I know there's going to be a lot of talk if they punt away from the guy, but we're talking about a national championship here, and you got to do whatever you can do to win on that thing.
Well, I could imagine, say it's the first series, Alabama goes 3 and out. They punt to this guy in the Superdome, and he runs it back. I don't care, 20 yards. That place is going to be on fire.
I'm telling you, that guy ignites a crowd, man, and he gets his teammates fired up. And you know as well as I do that sometimes in a game when you get down, you've got to have that spark that gets everybody back up on their feet, that gets the crowd on their feet, that gets the coaches excited, that gets the players to a point where they say, okay, he's done his thing, now it's time for us to do ours. And that's what I'm looking for from both sides.
Yeah, exactly, and somebody's going to merge on both sides and be the guy. Now, if I'm Alabama, Trent Richardson carries the ball 30 times. I don't care. He's going to get the ball, and and I don't put it in my quarterback hands and not see if that defensive line can stop him. And he was averaging 7 to 8. I can't remember. It was an absurd amount of yardage. Give it to him, see what he can do, and then set up a play action game and challenge that secondary downfield.
Well, Quentin, I tell you what, I got 2 questions to ask you, and I'm gonna let you go because I know you got a busy schedule. But Gus Malzahn, does he stay or go?
I think he stays. I think that with this day and age, I think universities are looking for proven head coaches this year.
I agree with you 100% because I'm not sold on. I'm not against Gus Malzahn, but it's not hard to be successful when you got an offensive line like you guys had last year, and a quarterback like Cam
Newton.
Yeah, Cam Newton. So I want to see Gus come out next year with a fresh team, with a year under his belt without Cam in that offensive line. And then if he does the things that we all know he's capable of doing, then I'd be happy to see him go to another team. But I want to see him, like you say, I want to see a proven product before I look at him as a head coach.
I agree, 100%.
And what are your thoughts on the Heisman Trophy? We've got 5 guys left, and the Honey Bear is one of them, and Trent Richardson and Andrew Luck, and the other 2, the running back from Wisconsin. And is it another the quarterback from Baylor. I can't think of his name. RG the third.
Yeah, Robert Griffin
the third. Mm-hmm.
You know, my thoughts there is, I mean, the best player, out of the 5 is Trent Richardson. The problem that Trent Richardson is going to have in the Honey Badger is that, in a little bit happened last year in Cam Newton, there could be a little SEC bias that plays out in the ballot, block voting that plays out in the ballot. And Robert Griffin probably is the guy that may get it. Before Griffin, I think they would vote for Andrew Luck. So I think that with SEC winning the last 5 or 6 championships, and then have the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners, just listen to the rhetoric from the Big Ten commissioner last year, the Pac commissioner this year, and the Big 12 commissioner. There's a lot of rhetoric and a lot of animosity toward the SEC. And this year we got the best teams. Don't be surprised if we then go to the quarterback of Baylor.
Well, I tell you, he's having a strong campaign now. He had a great win last week, and he closed out his season in a positive on a positive note. And he's getting a lot of publicity from the ESPNs and the other sports shows of the world. I listened to an interview with Skip Bayless the other day, and they were focusing on a comment that he made versus his body of work. And I find that hard to, when you're judging a guy to be the best in the country. I don't think a quote that he might have made, now this is just me, I don't think a quote has anything to do with you being selected as the best player. Explain to me your thoughts on what a Heisman Trophy winner should be judged on.
The Heisman Trophy winner, to me, and I know that they have, the Heisman guys have their own criteria that the members of the hall will use as about. But as far as, like, I'm a political voter, and I'm going to go and look, watch the numbers, watch the players, and based on what I think, if that player is good, like Justin Blackman, that's what I think he is an impact player. I think he's the best wide receiver in the country. I mean, that's all I can base. All the other stuff doesn't matter. I mean, we're talking about performance on the field and production, and now there may be some debate on who might be the best player or who's the most valuable player to their team, but to me, all the other stuff, the stuff that's off the field, that shouldn't come into play.
I agree with you 100%, Quentin. And the theme of the show today, we're trying to teach parents a little bit about what is it going to take to get their sons, their student athletes, I should say, scholarship consideration. And tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and how you got to where you are today, Quentin.
Well, right now I'm working for Alabama Power, Vice President of Government Relations.
That's a good thing.
And yeah, that's a good thing. And actually, athletics put me in a position. We're in the South. Athletics is a very, huge thing here. And the bottom line is, when you're on a team, you work with a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities, and you learn how to work. And you learn a lot of great things that can transition you into a profession. And, the thing that you got to do, in my opinion, is understand that not everybody's going to be Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. And there are going to be some other folks that won't make it as far. You just got to position yourself to use athletics and that scholarship skills that you earn to position you to be the best doctor, lawyer, accountant, or whatever it may be. And those skills that you develop along the way and hard work that you develop along the way make you a good, productive person in your community. And share that story with others. That we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's the bottom line. Share that story. Hard work, discipline, and understand that even if you make it, even if Nick Burley is successful, or Cam Newton, in the NFL, 27, 28, get done, you retire, you still have the rest of your life to live.
I agree with you 100%. And that's what we teach our kids in our program, Pro Start Academy. We teach them how to use sports as a stepping stone to success. So what that means to us is you've got to cultivate relationships when you have the opportunity, because sports allows you to meet a ton of people. And if you don't take advantage of those situations for later on, they forget about you if you don't use those tools. So I really appreciate you coming out today, Quentin. I look forward to seeing you down in New Orleans if you're going to be down there. And best of luck on your new position. And thanks for coming on the show today.
And Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you listeners. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thanks.